Hello, everyone. I hope I am audible and visible to you all.
Yes, Neha.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. Anything which you would like to experience or ask before the session begins? I'll just keep my phone on silent by then. Okay. So today I'll be sharing what my understanding and insight about karma is. And whatever I have read, I have understood, it comes from my understanding and my own interpretation of the scriptures, of the books, of Gita to whatever extent I have understood. I don't feel that I am knowledgeable enough to interpret Gita or share it with you all, but the very small ways in which I have experienced the energy of karma, the understanding of it, and how wrongly it is interpreted in today's life, and what it essentially meant, and how healing elevates the pain and helps us reach the true soul purpose sooner. So it is all around that. And you are free to take whatever resonates with you and leave whatever does not resonate, okay? Because this is not an something which the scriptures have clearly said. It is my interpretation of the scriptures, and the interpretation is often influenced by the perceptions, experiences of the reader. So it is my understanding and not the authentic truth. If there is something, or I don't know how close it is to that truth. Okay, I can just bring the insights and the awareness which I had in my own life, which I had seen in multiple people's life, and with my work in different clients, and in my students' journey and their clients' journey to whatever extent they have shared. Okay, so I'll complete the entire flow. You may have a lot of questions, and I would suggest you to write the questions in your notebook or wherever you feel comfortable. And once the webinar is over, then I will take the questions. Okay. So I'll start with my PPT today. Okay. Is the PPT visible to you all?
Yes.
Now I'll start with how I stumbled upon this thing that healing ends karma. Okay. So I'll start with a very personal experience which I had. So, like everyone, my life was challenging in certain aspects, and my father was always very much inclined in astrology and spiritual sciences. So probably that is how I get that kind of atmosphere or that kind of inclination too. So he would always, get into that prediction-based astrology where he would get my Janam Patri made, Kundli made, and like the way it was interpreted by those readers, it was like it is a very difficult life. And probably as parents, they thought that, if the life is going to be difficult and they can't help me much around it, then probably they make me strong enough to face it. That is how the love operates. And that is probably I was under a very strict parenting style, which we can term it today. What it did to me, that's a different question altogether. And how it helped me, that's also a different question. Okay. But I want you to start with this basic understanding that what made those astrologers predict my life in a certain way. It was based on the birth timings, the date, time, place of birth, right? And that date, time, place indicates certain placement of the planets, right? And those planetary positions in specific houses reveals how life is going to treat us, what are the lessons in store. Now, it takes me to a deeper level of question that why those certain placements existed, because I was born at a certain point of time. But why I was born at certain point of time? That means there was something which was unfinished in my previous life, which became the baseline for this life, right? And from that baseline, that planetary chart was made. Now, does that mean my life is destined? Everything is already decided? When Lord Krishna himself has talked about the free will, then where is karma? Where is free will? And where is that prediction that it is destined to be a difficult life? It is going to be a challenging life. How this all fits together? And then, if everything is destined, why are we here? Or if there is free will, how can we change? I mean, these kind of difficult permutation combinations of questions kept popping in my head. And I was not able to figure out the answer till the time I started my healing journey. And then it was like in bits and pieces of like a puzzle piece. Okay. But it didn't come together. Gradually, it is coming together. And to whatever extent I have got the picture, which is with different pieces that I'm sharing. Okay. Now, many people misunderstand karma. Okay. They have different interpretations of karma. Now, for me, karma is man, vachan, karm, vani. Now, some people understand vachan and vani is the same, and in Sanskrit, it is called as vacha. Mansa, vacha, karma. Okay. And in Kabir Das ji's words, it is man, vachan, karm, vani. And I guess the most beautiful experience, if someone has understood human life in its true sense, this is again my understanding, is how Kabir Das ji, how Rumi has interpreted life in their dohas, in their verses. Okay. Now, what is man? Man or mansa is our thoughts and feelings. Whatever we feel, the deeper emotional layer, and the thoughts accompanying it all comes under mansa. That is man. So many times we just say that, man nahi lag raha hai. Like I know that I have to go to gym, I have to exercise, I have to eat right food, but I just don't feel like doing it. So even if my thought is right, but the felt sensation, the feeling is not aligned to that thought. And every time when the thought and feeling is in conflict, we often do what our feelings ask us to do. And that is how we understand that feelings dominate thought process. And this has been understood by the people who study anatomy of body. And they said that unlike popular opinion where thoughts influences your feelings, it is opposite. 98% of the communication which happens inside us goes through gut, goes through the intestine to the brain. And that is why intestine is called the super brain of our body. Okay. And that is why that framework comes gut instinct. So our feelings supersede our thought process. Now, this is beautifully explained in the book Anxiety RX, where Dr. Russell has framed it as anxiety alarm feedback. So there is a feeling that comes and then accompanying thought, and then thought exaggerates that feeling, and then feeling that exaggerates that thought, and like this, it's a cycle. It's a feedback loop, and that is our man. Now, Vachan and Vani, if you want to interpret in two ways, then Vachan is deeper beliefs, your the understanding, the opinions, the core beliefs which you have. And Vani is the tone, words, and expression, the voice itself. While in Sanskrit, it is combinedly used as Vacha, which combines both the thoughts, the opinions, the voices inside our head, and how we use it. And then comes Karma. Karma and Karma are different. Okay? Karma is pure action. So if I want to pick this glass up, this is Karma, this is action. Now, what does Man Vachan combinedly does? It shapes the intention. So when intention and action meets, it creates an imprint. Are we clear? So for example, I just don't feel like exercising, okay? My feeling is of not doing it. Now, the deeper belief could be anything. I'm not good enough. I don't look good. Like nothing I do is ever enough. Or I'm tired, exhausted. It is too much for me. Okay? Now, this vachan, this beliefs, and this vani, and that is why probably in Sanskrit they have combined it as vacha, that the conversation we have within. And then I feel like, no, I should not do it. It's too much. Like it's so hot. And then there is another voice in my head which says, go ahead. It's just a matter of 1 hour. And in this conflict, I decide something. Either I go to the exercise, that is one karma, or I don't exercise. That is another. Okay. Now, this man, vachan, vani, these three combined formed an intention in my body. Now, even if I exercise, but if I exercise from that deeper disbelief in me that nothing happens. Okay, I just don't look good. So even if I'm taking the right action, but the intention is not pure. Okay, and if the intention is okay, like I always feel lazy, it's okay, I will do it. I'll just push myself through it. The intention is to uplift, and the action is aligned. It creates a different kind of karma. Okay, so for karma to happen, all these four must come in alignment. If there is an unalignment, then it creates consequences in different forms, which we will take as we go deeper. Are we clear? And we clear on this? And we on the same page till now? Anyone who can help me with this? Because no one is on camera. Thank you, Sakshi. So, man, vachan, karm, vani, or mansa, vacha, and karm. All these three creates an imprint, an impression in our. That impression is often psychological. Now, just imagine how many times we create that impression. Now, how does karma gets created? Now, karma is basically the consequences or the results of that action or inaction. If I go to the gym, there is action. If I don't go to the gym, there is inaction, which is basically an action of not doing. Okay? So those thoughts, feelings, and action, right? Those man, vachan, karm, vani creates imprints, certain kind of impressions. And that impression results in tendencies. Now, what are tendencies? Tendencies are the basic seeds through which our entire character is developed. So now, when I keep on pushing myself because I feel not good enough, a tendency is formed, which is like I have to always push myself in order to feel acceptable. And this results in deeper core belief formation, which is I'm not good enough. I have to always do something in order to be loved, accepted. And if there is the probably like taking the same gym example, if it is like, I want to live a good, healthy life, and this will help me, the tendency will become when I will keep on repeating it over and over, the tendency will form like I have to push myself in order to live a good life. Then it will take shape of an ambition, self-motivation. Now, when tendencies are practiced over a period of time, it becomes conditioning. And that is why some people never give up. They always find a way out. Some people adopt a victim mentality whenever things don't go the way they want. It just becomes their nature to bitch, to blame, to criticize, or they give up easily. Now, this conditioning over a period of time, now understand everything is around repetition. If you will notice that when thoughts, feelings, and actions are practiced multiple times, it creates imprints. When imprints or those impressions are repeated, it creates tendencies. When tendencies are repeated, it becomes conditioning, our mindset itself. And that is how we start believing girls are lesser than boys. A male child is preferred, or good things happen to people who are financially well to do, or beliefs around when you have enough money, people will respect you. If you do not have money, people will not respect you. Now, essential thing here to understand is those beliefs and habits which are shaped by conditioning, that conditioning not only is ours, our lived experiences, but also the voices we have absorbed from the environment outside. So if my home questions and judges a woman's freedom in the house in which I have been brought up, then I will form a belief that it is the society has different rules. If I was asked to, you know, always be an accommodative, a golden child, a good child, a sincere, obedient child, my conditioning is such, then my beliefs and habits will accordingly, like I will also demand obedience, and anyone who confronts me, I will take it as a personal insult because I was told that disobedience means you're disrespecting the other person. So the conditioning is not only ours, but conditioning is also shaped by the environment in which we live. Now, these beliefs and habits over a period of time becomes an essential character, like the very essence of the person. And these character, when you practice that character traits, it determines your frequency and energy. And that is why, even without knowing any history of the person, like not even having a proper interaction, just by looking at them, you can feel some vibe, some energy, and you just want to be stay away from that person or connect with that person at a deeper level. So many times we just want to talk to someone whom we barely know because it just there is a certain pull, and that is that frequency or energy. They have good energy, they have light energy in them. While there are people who just feels too exhausting, like the moment even their message shows up, or even if they show up at the door and you have no clue about them, you just don't want to talk to them. There's something inside you just feels off. That is their heavy energy. Now remember what I told you, that 98% of the communication happens from intestine to brain. The neural pathways are designed such a way. So that communication is happening from gut to brain. And that is why you just tell, I don't know, I just have a feeling. That is gut instinct. And those feelings are shaped by your previous experiences. Those experiences could be conscious, it could be subconscious, it could be unconscious, but it just stays inside your body. Now, those frequency and energy determines the quality of deeds you do, the actions you take. Now, for example, just coming to this part, till this part through an example, that if I always feel that I have less, people love me less, probably because my mom loved me less. Or there was always a sibling rivalry happening at the house, and mom preferred the other child over me. Or they were unfair to me, in my opinion, in my experience. This becomes my impression that I'm less. People always get better treatment than me. Now, this overall shapes my tendency. And my tendency could be to prove every time that I'm better. I will be extremely competitive, sometimes in a healthy way, sometimes in an unhealthy way. Then I may take failure at heart, and it is like that obsession to succeed, to excel. Or I may not take defeat easily, like my younger one, whenever even he finds that his turn has been dismissed or his coin has been cut, he'll start crying. He cannot take defeat. He just wants to come first. Okay? Now, these tendencies, it becomes conditioning that I should be the best. Now, from that space, a belief is formed that either I should be the best or I do not matter at all. And from that space, my character is developed. So I will be extremely obsessive about my goals. I may become a workaholic, and I would like to achieve things in a certain way. And when things do not go the way I want, I may control the situations, right? I may feel disheartened. I may also become abusive. I may become jealous. And depending upon the emotional state I am in, the dominant emotional state, my frequency, my energy is determined. So if I'm jealous and I am ruthless in my approach, I may do certain things which can cause harm to other people. Or I may take an inappropriate way to go ahead in the race. Or I may burn out myself, keep on pushing myself to an extent that I achieve the goal and I become that obsessive one in the process. Now, each action will result in some kind of consequences. Even the actions which you do not do will also result in consequences. And that is karma we talk about in general. And like a human brain is designed, we often see the difficult part. Okay, we often see the difficult part of things. So instead of seeing karma in its true light, we just resort to that karma is a bitch. We talk about how difficult it is. And we talk about it from the space of victimhood. ये तो सहना ही पड़ेगा. Like we have to endure this. There is no other way out. But the truth is, it is not so. Okay? And from here, I take you to another level of karma, the consequences which we talk about. So, we all know there is past, there is present, and there is future. Now, before we go here and understand all these in detail, understand like if you have ever done gardening and you have sowed seeds, all seeds will not become plants or bear fruits or bear flowers or become trees at one go. Okay? Some will mature fast, some will take long time, and some will be dead. Now, this is very important to understand is that the quality of the seed is important for a plant to grow. Second is the quality of environment, the water, the soil, the air, the nourishment the plant gives, the seed gets, that is also equally important, right? Without sunlight, water, and air, the seed cannot grow into a healthy plant. And remember this phrase as I will come back to it. Now, indeed, this is a blessing that we do not get all the punishments in one go and we do not get all the rewards in one go. Like the same God who doesn't reward us immediately for the things we did good, the same God also does not punish us for the wrong things immediately. Okay, so the entire thing is divided into timeline: past, present, and future. Remember, past tense, present tense, future tense. Now, past tense in terms of karma is known as sanchit karma. Sanchit means which you have pulled up, right? Which you have collected over a period of time. Present is known as kriyaman karma, and future is known as agami karma. Kriyaman is which is in action, which is in the process, and future agami karma is which will come in future, which will come over a period of time. Okay, it doesn't happen now. Now this sanchit karma, now when you have a collection, you may have collection of dresses, you may have collection of coins. Some gives you joy, some are not so good, like it is there in your cupboard but you don't feel good about it. Okay, and some brings you joy, right? So the collection has both good memories and bad memories. The good ones are known as purva punya. Okay, purv is previous, punya is good deeds. So all the previous good deeds which you have done till now, they will mature at different points of time. And that is why it is known as purva punya. So you will see that, like, you may have encountered many people like that, that someone who is doing bad in the present moment, but they are having a very good life, right? They are experiencing all the happiness, abundance, joy in different forms. Like their life is really smooth despite the kind of action they do, or they may be misbehaving, they may be not a very good human being at all. Yet they are experiencing a very good life. That is not because like they have good stars. It is just that their purva punya, the seeds, the good seeds which they have sown, the good deeds which they have done, is maturing at this point of time. And probably they have done so many good deeds in the past that all of those are maturing over a period of time, and therefore they are seen as living a considerable good life. Okay, this is Purva Punya. Now, Prarabdha. Now, this is something which we all fear, and especially social media has accelerated the fear to another level, which talks about bhogna padega. Like you have to endure, and it creates such a victim mindset. But when you will go deeper, prarabdha is of three kinds: drid, adrid, adrid, drid. Okay, drid is which is fixed. There are certain misdeeds which we have all done in the past, whose results we have to face anyhow, that cannot be eliminated. So even if you go to an astrologer, they will say, overlooking your charts, they might say that, this you had to endure. Like there was no other way to it. Like, for example, Bhishma Pitama in Mahabharata, when he was lying on the bed of arrows for 6 months, and then Krishna came to him, and then he asked him that, Krishna, I have always followed my dharma, what I was expected to do. I had been loyal to the throne of Hastinapur, and I have sacrificed so much in my life. Yet, what have I done that I deserve this kind of painful death? And then Krishna shows him a past life where he was a prince, and once his chariot was going, and there was a snake crawling, and it crossed the chariot. And he was so proud of his presence, and he was so furious at the snake that how dare he crossed it, that he put the sword in the snake and swirled it and threw it in the bushes. And that is what that deed done is maturing now. Okay, so this is an example of Drid Prarabdha, fixed, whose consequences, whose results cannot be changed. And this is very clear, okay, that you have to endure that. There is no way to it. Then is Adrid. Adrid is which can be changed easily. And that change happens on how you show up today. Okay, so for example, I may have robbed someone in the past lives, I may have cheated someone. Okay. And because I have cheated someone, I was a perpetrator in that life. I have to balance the equation. So I become a victim in this life and I go through that. But because in this life, I was very conscious and my lesson was to be fair, okay, not to cheat anyone. And probably I was very conscious in my journey that I would not cheat anyone. I would not take advantage or unfair advantage of anyone, undue advantage of anyone. And that has been my conditioning. And that is what my stronger beliefs are. So what happens that this time, because that time I was a perpetrator, I had to be a victim here. But then probably I had done crores of amounts fraud there. I may go through a fraud which is very less. Or probably I would get justice even if I go through that fraud. That is adrid, which is flexible. It changes. And that adrid karma, how does it change? It changes based on kriyaman karma, which is present karma. What you do in present day-to-day life, in your daily lives, the way, the tendencies you create, the kind of conditioning you and the beliefs you have, and the deeds you do, that shapes adrid prarabdha. And the last is adrid dhrid. Okay, adrid dhrid is some portion is fixed and rest of is flexible. That again, the flexibility, the change part depends upon the kind of actions you have done. Okay, now I'll share some example. Okay, so somewhere 3 years back, I was in a space where I was going through multiple accidents. Okay, sometime I would fracture my leg, sometime I would burn my hand, sometime a car would hit me. Like it was multiple accidents back to back. Okay, so I was exhausted, and then one of my friend, his friend is a very good astrologer. So he asked his friend, "Ki please guide her." And that is how I connected to that astrologer. And he asked me to get the consultation done. And she said that it is very well written in your charts. Like this is the period. And she literally used the word haddi chura ho jayegi. She literally used that word that this is the period where your bones will crush into powder. It is that kind of severe health issues will come. Like you will not even have a spine to stand upon. And when I said that, I'm going through health issues and these are the kind of challenges I'm facing, but it is not that grave which you are showing. And then she said that probably it is the part of adrid dhir that this part was fixed, that you have to go through that pain, but then there was the flexibility of the intensity of that result of that consequence has reduced. Okay, so the dhrid, adrid, and adrid dhrid, all these shape are shaped by our past deeds. And the consequences which we experience, apart from dhrid prarabdha, adrid, adrid, dhrid, present and future are shaped by our current. And that is the power of free will. That apart from dhrid prarabdha, somewhere where we have to face the consequences, free will exists everywhere. And that is what Krishna said to Draupadi when she said that I want to know the results of the war of Mahabharata. And Krishna said, apart from your 5 husbands, everyone will die. And she said, does that mean including my son? And Krishna said, yes. Then she said, I want to stop the war. And then Krishna said that you should have decided when you decided to have war against it. That time you chose a particular choice, and now you have to face the consequences of the choice. That point of time where you could have used a different way, that was your free will. Okay? And that is what happens. We do not choose consciously. And there are so many times when we regret a certain decision because we were not very conscious or aware of, because we were either reacting from our wounds, our fears, our trauma, our conditioning, our programming, our memories. Like there are times when we just don't want to interact with a certain person because we had a history with that person. Emotional memory. We just don't want to become rich because we fear that money will bring distance in our relationships. Sometimes we just don't take or prioritize ourselves because somewhere there is a conditioning that if I prioritize myself, then people will not love me. And all these things do not allow us to use our free will, which can change the entire course of karma. And what stops us from using our free will is the limited beliefs, the fears, the emotion wounds which we have. And that is where healing comes in. Healing just works on these parts, the wounds, fears, trauma, conditioning, so that you can be free from them and use your free will to change the course of your karma. So this is what healing does. Healing addresses on thoughts. Now, in our work, the thought part is known as nervous system work, where we work on the neural pathways. We work on those limiting beliefs. Now, if you remember, I told you that feelings supersede thoughts. Now, those thoughts are essentially very strong because there are feelings behind it, there are emotions behind it, right? And so the feelings and emotions all are stored in the body. And that is why this part is known as somatic work. So the feeling, emotions, beliefs, all these are stored in our body. That becomes our somatic part. Okay? So any healing modality, whichever you choose, if it does not address the somatic part and the nervous system work, then the healing is incomplete. That is why you will find people going through different therapists, going through different facilitators, and yet not getting resolved. Not because the person is wrong, not because they lack skills, I don't know. But the real reason is that the somatic and nervous system work was not done combinedly. And when they are not done, what happens? Remember, thought is in here and feelings are in the body. It creates split. So my mind and my body is going in different direction, which becomes the very source of karma, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Where I said, man nahi karna. Okay? So to change the karma, we have to go to the very basis of it. That is the thought, feeling, and emotional part of it. And the healing addresses these three layers. So when Drid karma is fixed and healing addresses the rest, what happens then? Over a period of time, when the Drid karma matures, when the Drid prarabdha matures, the attitude towards facing that prarabdha is also changed. So the lessons which I had to learn through going through that experience is learned quickly. And therefore, that Drir product also condenses in time because it's a multiverse universe, right? There are no timelines that you have to endure it for 3 years, 5 years. It is like the moment the lesson is learned, you jump to the next time, right? So healing helps there as well. I will go through that consequence, but my approach and my attitude will shift, and the lesson will be learned sooner than before. Okay? Now, I'll tell you how Gita, because I guess Gita, like in my opinion, Gita is the book which started talking about karma. And in Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, adharma, swadharma, and dharma. What is adharma? Adharma is the unconscious living. It is not only doing wrong or right, not on the polarities, but what feels right and what is right, the difference between two. Okay? And that is very unconscious. That is our conditioning. That is how we are living. And dharma is alignment with higher consciousness. That is reducing the gap between me and the Par Brahma. That is the cosmic itself, the creator himself. The more I move towards him, the more I'm moving towards the path of dharma. Now, to move from adharma to dharma, that is unconscious to higher consciousness, what is needed is awareness. And that awareness of who you truly are is swadharma. So how do we achieve this space, or how do we stay in this space of swadharma? Now understand, swadharma is awareness of your authentic self. And what is an authentic self? Which you truly are, which you purely are. But do we know that? Do we know who we truly are? No, because we see ourselves from different lenses. If my mom always told me that, you should always be a good child, you should always listen to others. If my dad always criticized me that you could have done better, this is not good, or you should have known better, I would see myself through these lenses. And when I keep seeing myself through these lenses, this conditioning, a core belief is formed about myself that I'm not good enough. I should compromise. I should stay. I should shrink. I cannot keep myself as a priority. And all these core beliefs then becomes my character. Then who am I? I have become that people pleaser. I become that overachiever. I become that overgiver. And then I'm left in these identities. And I'm no longer myself. So how healing helps to reach this Swadharma or to stay here. So this is the process which we all go through. Okay. Number one is extreme suffering. We may find ourselves in different life situations where it is very difficult to live. Like every day feels so heavy. And we all have gone through that experience in some way or the other, when it felt never ending. And that extreme point of suffering takes us to rock bottom. And that rock bottom is the space where we start questioning that it cannot go worse than this. Like, I cannot live this life. And from that questioning space, so when we are going through that extreme suffering and moving towards rock bottom, the question is always, why me? Why is this happening to me? And that fuels that victim mindset, and we keep on questioning. The questioning is still there, but the level on the understanding of question is from the space of why it is happening to me, that victim space. But when we have reached the rock bottom, and when we have essentially understood that we cannot go beyond this, and this differs to every person, like someone can go through years of abuse and pain to arrive at that rock bottom and actually question that this is not how I want to live. What should I do now? What it is that I'm not understanding. And some can arrive it in months. So there is no time frame to it. But what extends or delays the process is the degree to which we rebel. Now, when we're questioning why me, why me, why me, it's essentially coming from conditioning where the core belief is shaping it. Now, from those questioning space, we start seeking answers. And then we realize that the abuse we go through in the relationship where, you know, the partner also blamed me for not being understanding enough. My parents also blamed me for not being cooperative enough, not doing it right. My in-laws blamed me for not being perfect enough. And I start seeing that I'm not the only one wrong here. I suddenly start feeling and seeing things differently. That when I did this, they behaved in this way. When I did that, they again behaved in this way. So if I did this or that, no matter what I did, they behaved in this way. They never see me. So you start becoming aware of the patterns. Suddenly, your whole lens starts clearing. Like you have not healed, you have not resolved it, but now you can see patterns which you were probably not seeing before. Now you can see the ways in which the other person is also a problem. Now you can see the ways in which you are the problem. Like the lens starts clearing. That is self awareness. And in that moment, suddenly a shift happens. Now, this suddenly can take months or it can happen in a fraction of a second. Okay? Where something awakens inside me, which is very hard to describe, which is just an experience where I just know that this is not me. I just know that this is not me. This is not the person I was. And this is not the kind of life I would like to live. And from there, the desire to change starts. And from there, you start challenging everything. You start questioning everything, the beliefs which you have, the thought processes, the conditioning itself. And through those challenges, through those questions, there is a shift. Now, here is the tricky part that if we keep on challenging and we project it on the outside, that I'm not wrong, this is my husband is wrong. This is where my wife is wrong. This is where my parents are wrong. This is where my children are. If you shift the perspective outside, you have not gone ahead. Rather, you would go again into that cycle where extreme suffering will endure till the time you actually start seeing what is my own role in my suffering. Till the time you arrive here, when you question, despite no matter how toxic environment it is, how many people have done wrong to you, until and unless you question what is my role in my own suffering, the shift cannot happen. And when you will question that, then what happens is your approach changes. And then you realize in so many ways, unknowingly, you have contributed to the problem. And when you resolve those emotional parts, those wounded parts of yours, you realign with your authentic self. And that is what we do in healing. We keep on questioning those difficult parts of us, and we keep on releasing what no longer serve us. We keep on releasing what is not our truth anymore. And the more we let go of what is untrue to us and we take back what feels true to us, we realign with our authentic self. That authentic self is the first step towards moving towards dharma. And God has been so kind that He has made it possible for us. So, this is how the karma operates, the wheel of karma operates. And This is how healing takes place. So this entire healing will bring a lot of stuff in you. It is not a beautiful, easy journey or very melodious journey or very, mm, like, happy kind of lucky kind of journey. Like you have to go through that painful moments. You relive those painful moments. You see what you have started believing from those painful moments, those experiences, and then you release. And sometimes it takes months to release a particular conditioning or a particular thought process or a deeper, deep-seated belief inside us. And then it doesn't happen sequentially, it doesn't happen in a linear way, like you will release and then you will. It's like it's a spiral. You keep on reliving that pain, then going deeper, then releasing it, then again finding some trigger and then going deeper. So it's like that spiral where you have to keep on going deeper and deeper. So the victim part of you sees the polarity, becomes self aware. The identity driven part of you starts questioning everything. Like when I started my healing journey, before that, I was going through a very difficult relationship and then I was not financially independent as well. So I had a lot of these conditionings that I have to endure. Marriage means adjustments. I also felt that, I am not capable enough because I never did a full proper job kind of thing. So I'm not capable enough to raise two children. Then money became a barrier for me, that how I will live without my children. And if I go through with my children, then how would I manage the expenses? Then I felt like children need both mother and father, or probably if I'll just get myself busy, then I do not have to face the reality, and then probably it will be manageable. So many marriages work on compromises. Like, no, not everyone gets the best. So all these things were there in my mind. But when I stayed in this, I endured extreme suffering, like every single day basis. And then there came a moment in my life when my younger one was 2.5 year old. And I was considering suicide again. And I actually went to the terrace and I was just looking from where I should jump, because it was like a 9, 10 floor building. So I thought that from where should I jump so that I do not stay in between. I should jump from a higher place so that I actually die. And in that moment, like when I was considering all these thoughts and looking below, that moment my sister called me up. And I was like, she's younger to me. And I just broke down on the phone. And then she said, you know what? I think you need some kind of therapy or healing, some kind of external help. And I was so desperate, like it was felt like a rock bottom, that I actually considered कि at least ये भी try कर लेते. I never thought that that would be the turning point in my journey. So she suggested me her friend's sister and her husband, and that is how I connected with my therapist then. And he said one thing when I met him. He said only one thing, and he said, you want to commit suicide now? You can do it 2 months later, but give me 2 months of your life. And the way he communicated it stirred something inside me, that yes, I can always end my life. That is always a possibility. And from there, we started working. I as a client and he as a facilitator. And a lot of things got revealed in that process, that all the conclusions, all the narratives which I had in my head, that because I'm not financially independent, I have to endure. And if I become financially independent, my husband will become insecure and then my marriage will end. So it is like, if I become financially independent, then also there is a consequence which I am not willing to face. And if I don't become financially independent, there is also a consequence which I'm not willing to face. And that is why I'm stuck. So, like that, there were multiple beliefs, like this deep feeling that I'm not worthy because I was raised in a very critical environment. And probably now I can reflect and connect the dots that probably they did it because they wanted me to toughen up to face the life's challenging situations. Because at that point of time, they believed in an astrologer who, or in fact, multiple astrologer who said that she will have a very challenging life. So probably their fear and their love for me made them highly critical and made me survive the even the difficult of situations because I was conditioned, I was raised that way. And like my friends used to call me to, you are brought up in a military training setup, like you can endure anything. Okay, so because but that training, that everything, that environment also shaped me and my core belief that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. When I started working on those beliefs, releasing those memories, those trauma, and also rewiring my nervous system, a different kind of awareness started showing up. Like I felt lonely all the times. I felt there was a deep belief that no one is there for me. And essentially, all of it boiled down to because no one is there for me because I'm not good enough. I'm not a worthy person to love. So, all these challenging conditioning, those beliefs that becomes a part and parcel of you, the very you, and that shapes your identity, that shapes how you interact with the world, that shapes what you attract in your life. When we started questioning that, we started challenging those and releasing those, what happened was that suddenly, not in fact suddenly, over a period of time, like it took me 4 or 5 years to reach the place where I am now with like constant inner work with a therapist. And that is how now I do not feel like there are certain parts of me which still vibrates at this feeling of I'm not good enough, but majorly it's not my sensation. I feel more connected to myself. And the funniest part is that when I started connecting more with my authenticity, my charts stop revealing the future. Like in my charts, it was a very challenging life. Like I still have my Kundli and it's written there. And not one, like my father was very fond of making different kinds of birth chart from different kind of people. So I have many. And the common observations I'm talking. And they said that, she will be very much interested in studies, but her education will never come to turn into profession of some kind. Like it will never help her. It will all like जो bottom line है सारा knowledge व्यर्थ जाएगा. Like it will be of no use. It will be a total waste. Then there is written that you know I cannot escape. I cannot create a life of my own, and I will always be dependent on someone because of certain placements. Like my health will not be good and all. But my present life, if I talk about, I'm a divorced person. I'm a single mother raising my 2 kids alone, and I have never been happier in my life. Challenges are there, but it doesn't feel like a challenging life anymore. And yes, I am not at the pinkest of health always, but I love my workouts and I can lift weights easily. And even sometimes my trainer is surprised by the way I do my exercises. Why I'm telling you all this? What happened? What happened was that I have actually learned my lessons. The lessons which I was supposed to learn through enduring, through suffering, I learned it by processing the grief inside me, by processing the emotional turmoil inside me. I learned those lessons early, and that changed my outlook because the nervous system work was done. That changed my outlook, and that is how my approach towards life itself, towards different circumstances changed. Because I learned the lessons, my karma ended. And now my birth chart, which reveals the birth metrics, the time, place, date, and how my life would look like doesn't reflect my reality anymore because I have quantum jump. And this happens to so many people. There is some kind of awakening, and from then, nothing is exactly what someone has predicted. This is the beauty of the healing journey. This is the beauty of free will. And yes, there could be some prarabdhas which I will still endure over a period of time, but the intensity or the approach to view it would be very different. Okay? And this is what I offer to the world, what I have experienced in my life. So these are the various programs which I offer. So if you wish to start your own healing journey, then there is a group container, which is the coaching room, where we meet second and fourth Saturdays in a group setting, and we talk about your problems. I use different modalities, whatever I have learned, and I put that work on you to help you resolve it. It's at a monthly fees of 2100. So we get 2 calls in 2100 only. And then there is one-on-one space where you can work with me for 12 sessions or 24 sessions. The 12 sessions pricing is at 3.5 lakh and 24 sessions is of 6L. Now, if you want to hold this beautiful space for others, if you want to do the kind of work I do, if you want to change lives and be that small catalyst, then there are my training programs, the Womb Healing Training Program and 7W Integrative Training Program. Womb Healing Training Program is the only training program right now which teaches you how to do womb regression, womb healing, and womb regeneration in one single session. Okay, this is a 7-day training program, and 7W Integrative Training Program is my bigger training program, which is of 11 months. So 8 months is full-fledged classes and 3 months is of hand-holding, where I teach you all the modalities which I have learned over a period of time. Womb healing is not a part of that because it's a very different work altogether. And this is how it is. So these are the dates. The coaching room, second and fourth Saturday of every month, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Womb Healing Practitioners Program is a 7-day training program, and there is 1 month of WhatsApp support. It starts 18th June, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So all my classes are 3 hours long. The energy exchange is 50,000, but there is an early bird offering till 31st of May, which is 35,000. And you will get certification here. And you can immediately start practicing. Like Womb Healing Training Program is such that you can immediately put it into practice, no matter whether you're a beginner, you're an advanced practitioner, wherever you are. You practice different modalities or you're entirely new to this space. This program teaches you right from the basics to the most advanced level. And so is 7W. 7W is a longer training program. So womb healing work can be done in one single session. So if you are looking for a work which is just one session and you're not willing to commit to a longer process, then not for your own self, not for your clients, then this program is appropriate. And the 7W program is when you want to work on long-term basis with client, when you want to truly help them resolve layer by layer, that is 7W. So 7W is my own model where I have made 7 questions through which you can streamline the entire work of inner child, intergenerational work, constellations work, nervous system work, somatic work, subpersonalities work, how you can weave all of this work in one single session. And in every session, you can go to that deep layer where you can resolve man, vachan, karm, vani. The thoughts, feelings, emotions, intentions, and actions, all these parts. Now, this is a 8-month training program. So we meet every Wednesday starting from 15 July, 9 to 12. After 8 months, there is 3 months of hand-holding where we meet once in 15 days. Apart from that, there is 2 doubt classes every month. So in all, we meet 6 times a month. And there are times when, there is certain delay from your or some festival because of which the class doesn't happen. So it usually lasts 12 months. So 8 plus 3, instead of that, it is usually 12 months, 1 month of buffer so that no class is compromised. This entire program is priced at 3,50,000. And till 15th June, you can take it at 3 lakh. I have done 2 cohorts of coaching room, and the third cohort will start from second Saturday of this month, like the June. I have done 3 cohorts of womb healing, and it had been a very beautiful and enriching journey. And 7W, I have just today completed the first cohort, like the 8-month training program is over. Now it's 3 months of hand holding. So this is what my work looks like, and this is what my understanding of karma looks like. Now, over to you. I would be happy to answer your questions, anything where I can help you, or you would like some guidance. Please.
Hi, Sneha.
Hi, Shri.
This is Shreni.
Hi.
Hi. So what I wanted to know about somatic work, right? Right now, I'm not looking at learning as much as looking at personal growth, Uh, a lot of the times when we go to therapists, they'll ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of such and such emotion do you feel?
Right.
Or where do you feel it in your body? And I can't answer both of these questions. I don't feel it anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't understand whether it's a 5 on a 10 or a 10 on a 10. I may understand a 10 on a 10. Yes.
Right.
But anything less, like I'm not able to sense. So it's almost like a feeling of numbness,
Right.
Like कि नहीं समझ रहा है किधर है. Even in constellations, when I have participated, people have felt it in their body. I don't feel anything in my body. So could you give me an insight on that?
Yeah. So basically, it is, so understand when we go through difficult experiences, okay? Like in this life, we have got this body.
Right.
Okay. So when we have gone through difficult experiences, what happens as a child, we do not know how to cope with it.
Right.
Right. So we go through the classical responses: fight, flight, freeze.
Right.
Fawning comes later.
Right.
So fight is when we try to like literally fight with the situation. Okay. But because we are small, we cannot do that. Our bodies are small. Then the 2 options which are left is flight and freeze. Flight is go away from the situation. And since we are small, we cannot go away. Like we cannot leave home and, leave all these cures. So what we do is we mentally escape. So even though our body is there, our mind is somewhere else. Okay. And it just helps lessen the pain, or it makes the pain easy to manage or face the situation. Like the teacher is shouting, shouting, and shouting, and it's like it is too shameful. So I just mentally escape the situation by thinking about probably the movie I have watched. Okay. When this becomes my practice, like I know this works. So when this, or I become freeze, like I will just have no sense, neither of my body nor my mind, like everything go blanks, right? When we are in extreme fearful state, we just go blank, right? In both the cases, when the freeze or the flight response is practiced over a period of time, what happens is we just know how to disconnect. And that is what in our traditional learning space, we call it split. The mind and the body split. So even if I know consciously what is happening, cognitively what is happening, that I'm feeling angry, but in body, I cannot feel that anger because this connection is
Broken.
And now what will the first step, no matter what kind of brilliant therapist you go to, the first step is to bring it back, bring the connection back. And this connection can only happen in safety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first the nervous system becomes safe enough to feel present with the body. And once it feels safe enough to present with the body, then I can actually feel safe to feel the feelings inside my body. Otherwise, it is all now.
Got it.
Okay, so what is happening in your case is the split is too wide. And the more I ask you to focus on the body, where in the body is, where do you feel it, I'm just widening the split because you just disconnect. Like staying here is too difficult. So the first step should be bringing the safety back, like small micro moments where I can connect with the body and then disconnect, connect and disconnect. Just like you do with children, right?
Yeah.
If they're scared of dark, what do? For small moments, you just expose them to the darkness and then bring back them to the safety, to light. And gradually they understand that darkness is not very difficult. They may not stay in dark for long, but they know it is okay. I can stay there for a while. That is what should happen when the mind and body is deeply fragmented.
So in this case, grounding helps.
Grounding to a certain degree, yes, but not fully.
Okay.
Okay. So, how will you ground yourself? You will breathe. And when you breathe and when you bring you back your awareness to the body after some fleeting seconds, your mind will start going into monkey thoughts. Like it will become a monkey mind. Then where is grounding happening? Okay.
So you do address this kind of
That is the
concept.
first step. Like the first step in healing is to establish safety,
Oh,
depending upon where the client is coming from.
all right.
Until and unless that safety is established, we cannot go further. Okay. For some clients, the safety establishment practice is easy, like it takes less time. For some clients, it takes more time, especially with background story of multiple sexual abuses. The safety doesn't happen at all. Like it is very difficult for them. People who have seen extreme violence or who have lost their parents at early age, they cannot stay in the body. There is
But what
restlessness
if there is
inside.
no history? Like in my case, it's a good childhood, no really history of any.
Then there is question which, if you would read Oprah Winfrey's book, there is a question. This is part of my 7W as well. What happened to you? We ask that. Okay, that specifically points out to the childhood traumas. And then there is a deeper silent W, which not many therapists address, is what didn't happen to you. And probably you had a good childhood where you were taken care of, you were well fed, and your demands were met. And but what probably may not have happened was emotional attunement, like feeling safe, where my mom or my dad is emotionally and physically present with me. That probably may not happen because of whatsoever commitments they had in their life. So when people say that I had a good childhood, what we actually look for is what didn't happen to you, right? What kind of safety didn't happen to you? What kind of
Interesting.
attunement didn't happen to you? Okay, it is only
Yeah.
in those moments we are able to find those traumas.
Yeah, that's a very interesting way to, that's a good question that you left me with. What didn't really happen?
Yeah, like when a child is in the mother's womb, if the mother is not well fed, if she's not taken care of, if her emotional needs were not met, because that time the hormones are very fluctuating, and sometimes even a normal situation is taken and felt very personally. If those moments she feels alone, okay, and that is passed on to the fetus, that becomes the fetus primal memory,
Got
right?
it.
And like without any real experience of no one cares for me and no one is really with me,
It's you've
that is
absorbed it.
how they feel inside.
Got it.
So even after constant assurances that I'm there, I'm on doing this thing for you, you always feel this way, the feeling remains.
Got it.
And in karma, we talk about garbhadharan, we talk about garb karma, that is garb sanskar. Like there is whole text around it, which is how a mother feels and is passed on. Like we all know Abhimanyu's story, right?
Yeah.
That he learned the entire
Chakravyu. He
process
got into
of,
it.
yeah, Chakravyu, how to get into it. when he was in his mother's womb. But no one questioned why Abhimanyu, such a young chap, decided to put others first above him. No one asked that question.
Mm.
It was because his mother, when she got married to Arjuna, she made a vow that I will dedicate my entire life to Draupadi. I will always come second.
Mm. Um,
And that is how the belief was absorbed by Abhimanyu as well. Okay. So, like, there are things which we cannot answer cognitively.
Right.
And most of the traumas are not experiences or events, right? Understand that Dr. Gabor Mate describes it very beautifully. Trauma is not what happened to you.
It is how
It is
you
not
perceive. Yeah.
what experience you had when you gone through that. That is trauma. Okay? How you felt, what your nervous system understood. And because, like, the prefrontal cortex starts developing the part of the brain which is about logic, analyzing, understanding. This part of the brain starts developing from the age of 10. This is the known as neocortex. This is the newest part of the brain. Before that, it's like the mammalian and the reptilian brain, then the hippocampus, amygdala, that's all. Like this part of the brain that is only present in human and one species of blue whale, which understands cognition, right? Apart from that, no other species on this planet has. So this neocortex starts developing from the age of 10 until 25. It keeps on developing. So we do not have any sense of what happened to us. So what happens is whatever we perceive, it just stays inside our body, in our hands, in our thumb. And gradually that emotion, that stored memory becomes so dominant. And when we attach certain feelings and emotions to ourself, I believe that starts becoming a form of disease. And that is how we start experiencing joint pains. We start experiencing acidity. Like the diseases are basically a storehouse of emotions and memories, which cannot, the organ cannot contain it anymore. So the organ starts corroding. And that is how diseases are born. So to answer your question, that we just do not know it cognitively because this part of the brain is not developed. That is why when the teenage years are very complicated, very challenging because this part is newly developed. So I feel I know the best of whatever I have till now, but it is not fully developed that I can see the consequences of my action. Okay. And that is why teenagers rebel because they feel that they know because this part is now newly developed. Like they have never had this kind of understanding before. So they feel they know it all. Okay. So because this is not developed and everything is stored in the body and the organ becomes numb. Like if you put too much pressure, what happens is that the body part becomes numb. And because the body part becomes numb, I cannot have an access to it. And that is why also when the therapist asks me, where do you feel in the body? I just do not have any feeling. Does that answer your question, Srini?
It does. Totally. Totally it does. I
Yes.
was not that I couldn't understand it, but there's always this self-doubt. Am I understanding this correctly or not? But you've put it in this the perfect way. So yes, very much. Thank you
Right.
so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions which I can help you with? I have a message. Anything where you would like to talk about karma or how you are unable to find the challengings or unable to navigate it, anything where I can help you. No questions? Okay. In case there are no questions, then we are good to go. If you wish to explore the programs or know more details about it, you can always connect with me on my WhatsApp. You all have the numbers. I will be sharing the recording link with you all, and you can watch it at your own pace. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sneha.
Thank
Thank,
you.
thank you, dear. Thank you.